It's a few minutes past 10 at night. Immediately after the close of our last episode, when on a lonely road beside the river, Gus Jansen settled an account for JT's crime syndicate. More of Gus in a few moments. First, outside the home of Mrs. Barkley.
Hello, Perry. Beautiful.
Hi, Paul.
You see Mrs. Barkley?
Yes. Give Paul that receipt, Ellen.
You are.
From a veterinarian to Suzanne Barkley. Paid to have her dog boarded.
Look at the date.
Well, that's the day she ran away.
The night she ran away, Paul. Suzanne decided to run away after her argument with Gus.
Then the vet talked to her just before she disappeared.
Yes. See him tonight if you can. Find out, well, you know what to do.
Right. How come Mrs. Barkley didn't come up with this before?
We just found that receipt.
Then why did Mrs. Barkley send out an emergency call for you?
Well, believe it or not, Paul, she had a dream.
Let's go, Della.
Hey, wait a minute. Give.
Mrs. Barkley had a kind of dream about her daughter. Suzanne told her mother that she was in danger, that Gus is looking for her.
In a dream?
Yes, and don't look at us like that. Do you ever hear of extrasensory perception?
Extrasensory perception. That's mental telepathy you're talking about. There's nothing to it. That's stuff a bunch of nonsense. There's always a logical explanation for those things, always.
Then follow it out logically.
What?
Suzanne never told her mother a thing about Gus. And yet, Mrs. Barkley has a dream in which Suzanne is terrified of Gus. What caused that dream, Paul?
Well, the way it sounds to me, Suzanne was scared of this guy even before she ran away. But she didn't tell her mother.
No.
And yet her mother sensed it, subconsciously, and it comes out in a dream. Well, that's got to be it. Suzanne was scared to death. Her mother sensed it without realizing it.
Tells you something about Gus, doesn't it? I'm getting a picture of that guy, Paul. He's plausible. Probably nice-looking.
Mean enough to scare Sue Barkley into hiding.
Yes. He's warped and twisted and ruthless. But you wouldn't know it to look at him.
Or Suzanne would have given one look and run the other way.
Mm-hmm. You see why he's dangerous.
I'll get busy.
Good. Oh, you can reach me at Lieutenant Halverson's office or at home.
You seeing Halverson tonight, Chief?
Yes. Okay, Paul?
Right.
Now it's a short time later, as Gus Jansen parks his car in the nightclub parking lot, goes quietly inside, makes his way to the manager's office.
It's Gus.
JT. Where's Gordy?
Out. Well?
Yeah.
So you had a pleasant trip, huh?
Short, but sweet. Pete and I took the little road over by the river, you know.
Oh, yes. By the cliff.
By the cliff. Pretty spot. Pete fell asleep at the wheel.
Uh-huh.
Pete went fast asleep. His car went off the road, then over the cliff. Fell down in the river.
I always felt Pete was careless.
He was careless once too often.
You're positive he's, good. Very good indeed. The big fellow will be pleased with you.
Just so long as you're pleased with me.
Of course, I'm... what's on your mind, August?
Gordy? And Kate Beakman? And you and me? How long going to keep horsing around, JT?
You, want to take over?
It's logical. The girl likes me. Of course, you'll have to tell me what you want with her.
It's her father. Her father's employed at Nicholas Importing Company. He's an intelligent man and tough. I became interested in him when Gordy tried to use him in a deal.
I didn't know.
Ed Beakman outthought and outfought Gordy. He interested me. He's an honest man. He's also the assistant to the president of Nicholas Importing. Mr. Nicholas has been looking for an able, deserving younger man to take over. Beakman is already in a position to influence policy.
You'd have Nicholas Importing if you had Ed Beakman in your pocket.
The big fellow and I, yes. Beakman's an honest man. But, Gus, he loves his daughter very much indeed.
So, all I have to do is treat her sweet until she really trusts me and then, frame her.
Well, it could be that way. You've done well, Gus. The big fellow and I are pleased. You've come back, you've gone to work, you aren't drinking. But there is Suzanne Bartlett. Are you looking for her?
Ever since she skipped out. I think she jumped in the river.
You think? If she's alive, her information is a loaded gun pointed at your head and at mine.
JT, if she's alive, I'll catch up with her. And once I do...
Make certain this time, August.
Yeah, I will. You, gonna let me work on Beakman?
I'll have to discuss it with the big fella, but I believe I'll recommend it. You did very well tonight. Did you tell Pete goodbye for me?
JT, I could kick myself. I forgot.
You should have told him goodbye for me, but I understand you were excited, huh?
A little. I'm a little tired.
It's natural.
Mr. Weber?
I'll go out the private exit.
No, don't move. I'll talk to her in the doorway. I want you to hear this.
Beakman, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mr. Weber? Oh, Gus.
Hello, Kate. Gordy's out for a minute. I'm all by myself. Something I can do?
Well, Tony wants to ask him... Will you ask him to call her dressing room?
Okay. Kate, how's it going?
All right. You look tired, Gus.
Sweet of you to notice, Kate. I am a little tired. It's been a busy evening.
Oh?
Yeah, I had a couple of details to take care of.
All taken care of?
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank you again for helping me.
What?
When you spoke to Mr. Mason.
Oh, that slipped my mind.
Oh, you have been busy, if you could forget his being here. I can't forget so easily. I don't like telling lies.
Of course not, because you're a sweet kid. There are times when, well, sometimes you've got to tell a lie to save your neck.
Mr. Mason wanted to help me.
And if you needed help, I'd say go right ahead. Tell him you're working at Gordy's club. But you're okay. You don't need help. I'll tell you why. You've been worried.
Well...
I know you have. Gordy gives you the creeps, doesn't he?
Well, I really don't think he'd bother me, but...
No, he won't. I'm going to take you under my wing.
But Mr. Weber said...
Oh, we got that straightened out tonight. Gordy's not even going to speak to you anymore. Okay? And something else. You'll be working late most nights. I've been thinking about that, too. I'm going to take you home.
Oh, I couldn't ask you to do that.
It's no trouble. I have to drive in town anyway, so I'll give you a lift. Unless,
What?
Unless you don't want to ride with me. You haven't known me very long, Katie. Not as long as you've known Gordy. Maybe you think I'm the same kind of guy.
Oh, no. You've always been...
Then you'll let me take you home?
If you're sure it isn't too much trouble.
I'm sure.
All right. Thank you, Gus.
You're welcome. I'll tell Gordy to call Tony. You hear, J.T.?
Yes. Are you sure it isn't too much trouble, August?
I don't mind a little trouble. In fact, I'm looking forward to a pleasant drive with Miss Beakman. This has been some night, huh, J.T.?
You've had a good time, haven't you, August? A nice ride with Pete, and later a nice ride with Miss Beakman.
But not to the same place.
No, at least not yet. Treat her gently, August. She's valuable.
Now you know why Kate Beakman is valuable to J.T. But just what do you think are August Jansen's plans for her? You'll join us on Monday, won't you?